Hello and welcome back to MTG Burgeoning, your channel for all things magic. In today's video, we are going to add the first 20 creature cards to our Momir Vig Cube with converted mana costs of 5. What's up, MTG That is the MTG Burgeoning community. Welcome back to the 5th installment of our Momir Vig Cube series. If you are unfamiliar with this current cube building series, please look in the description below and click on MTG Burgeoning's Introduction to the Momir Vig variant. There you will learn the vision for this channel's Momir Vig Cube. After watching it, please come back because we are going to install the first 20 creatures with CMC of 5 in our cube. Additionally, you can check the link in the description below to Cube Cobra, and you can observe the contents of our current Momir Vig Cube. Now that we've got that out of the way, let's start with creature number 1 with a mana value of 5. And she is Adriana, Captain of the Guard. We got a 4/4 legendary human knight with the melee mechanic. And melee, of course, is whenever this creature attacks, it gets +1/+1 until end of turn for each opponent you attack with a creature this combat. As we are trying to construct this cube as a multiplayer format, having melee could be a very advantageous mechanic for the creatures that you control. Additionally, Adriana gives other creatures we control melee, so we can definitely buff up the power and toughness of our creatures during combat as long as we are attacking as many opponents as possible. Adriana, you are creature number 1 of the CMC 5. All right, creature number 2, we have the Airy Mystics. You got a 3/3 flying bird wizard. We can tap 1 green and a blue. That's right, MTGBC. Make sure you got those forests and islands in your land deck. When we tap 1 green and a blue, creatures we control gauge Shroud until end of turn. Although there are no instants or sorceries in this cube, there are a plethora of enter the battlefield triggers that could act as removal for creatures that we control in addition to activated abilities. So being able to give our creature Shroud to counter that could go a long way in determining the victor of any given match. All right, creature number 3, we are going to include Air Servant. It's a 4/3 flyer. We can tap 2 and a blue to tap target creature with flying. Once more, BC, get those islands in your land deck. All right, creature 4 with a CMC of 5. We're going old school here with the Akujin. We have a 5/6 trampler. During our upkeep, each opponent puts a +1/+1 counter on each creature he or she controls. So this is a good time to remind the MTG Burgeoning community that not every single creature in this deck is going to be uber helpful. And it's also going to show that there are some creatures that you just don't want to randomly have summoned to your battlefield. Akujin, although it's a 5/6 trampler for an investment of 5, it's going to buff our opponent's creatures with a +1/+1 counter during our upkeep. So Akujin, we're going to have to see how you work, but you're definitely not one of the most valued cards going into the Momir Vig Cube. All right, creature number 5 with a mana value of 5. You are Alina, Kessig Trapper. A 4/3 first strike. We can tap Alina to add an amount of red mana equal to the greatest power among creatures we control that entered the battlefield this turn. So this is going to cause some potential headaches for the owner of this creature if you so happen to summon her onto your side of the battlefield, because we can only cast 1 creature spell per turn in the Momir Vig variant. So unless there is some other way in which to create a creature token or 2 during your turn with any of the activated abilities of your creatures, Alina may just be sitting back and accumulating red mana with no way to use it. However, as we have seen, and will see in the future, there are a plethora of activated abilities that Alina could be very, very powerful, tapping to add the red mana in order to activate. All right, creature number 6. We're going back to the time of prophecy with the Lexi Zephyr Mage. We have a 3/3 Spell Shaper Legend. We can tap X and a blue, MTG BC, add those islands to your land deck. X and a blue, tap Alexi, discard 2 cards from your hand, and return X target creatures to their owner's hand. Why is this valuable if we're unloading 2 precious and oh so valuable lands from our hand? Well, that's because each creature that's on the battlefield is a token copy of the creature. So whenever a token leaves the battlefield, it ends up ceasing to exist. So we can pump X as much as possible, return as many creatures of our opponents to their owner's hands, and then they cease to exist. Alexi is going to be a very powerful creature remover in this Momir Vig Cube. And make sure you are packing that blue mana. All right, creature number 7. We have Elrond, God of the Cosmos. It's a 1/1 for an investment of 5, so right off the bat, we're not looking too strong. However, Elrond gets +1/+1 for each card in your hand and each foretold card you own in exile. We won't be foretelling any cards in this cube, but hopefully we'll have some cards in our hand in order to buff Elrond's power and toughness. At the beginning of our end step, we choose a card type. Then we reveal the top 2 cards of our library, put all cards of the chosen type into our hand, and the rest on the bottom of our library in any order. So for the purposes of this Momir Vig Cube, Elrond really reads, at the beginning of your end step, put the top 2 cards of your library into your hand, because the library is filled with nothing but lands, and the controller of Elrond is only going to choose lands. So we are going to replenish cards in our hand very quickly by having Elrond on the battlefield and under our control. You are creature number 7 of mana value 5 to be included in this Momir Vig Cube. Number 8, you are up next, and we're going to Zendikar Rising for Angel of Destiny. We have a 2/6 flying, double-striking Angel Cleric. That reads, whenever a creature we control deals combat damage to a player, you and that player each gain that much life. At the beginning of our end step, if we have at least 15 life more than our starting life total, each player Angel of Destiny attacked this turn loses the game. So we need 39 life or more in order to have one of our opponents lose the game. With Double Strike being a key feature here on the Angel of Destiny, swinging with the evasion of flying, we're going to deal 4 points of combat damage, hopefully gaining that life if somehow, some way, we're able to gain some more life. Now again, lifelink is going to be a popular mechanic strewn throughout this cube. Will there be enough in order to trigger Angel of Destiny's lose game mechanic? Well, we're going to see. Angel of Destiny, you are creature number 8. Staying on theme with our angels, our next creature is Angel of Invention. 2/1, flying, vigilance, and lifelink with the Fabricate 2 mechanic. And the Fabricate 2 means when this creature enters the battlefield, we can put 2 +1/+1 counters on it, or we can create 2 1/1 colorless servo artifact creature tokens. And Angel of Invention also gives other creatures we control +1/+1. So for the purposes of this game variant, knowing that we can only cast 1 creature spell per turn kind of puts a premium on creatures that can create other creatures when they enter the battlefield. So for me, if I'm investing 5 into my Momir Vig SIMIC Visionary Avatar, and I get Angel of Invention, I'm going to create the 2 1/1 colorless servo artifact creature tokens, and I can spread 6 total power across 3 bodies just with the investment of 5 mana. Angel of Invention is going to be a very powerful card added to this level of the cube. All right, making the halfway point of our video here, one of the greatest named creatures in the history of Magic, we have the Ankle Shanker. 2/2 haste, and whenever Ankle Shanker attacks, creatures we control gain first strike and death touch until end of turn. We cannot in any way underestimate the power of granting our army first strike and death touch. If we send our whole squad into action, into combat, with Ankle Shanker leading the way, and if any of our opponent's creatures decide to block, as long as they don't have protection or indestructibility, the first strike and death touch combination is going to kill each one of those creatures before they have the opportunity to return combat damage. Very, very powerful this Ankle Shanker is, and the best name ever. All right, halfway point has been reached. Card number 11. We are going to Original World Wake. We have Anawan the Ruined Sage. 4/3 vampire of the legendary variety. At the beginning of your upkeep, each player sacrifices a non-vampire creature. If you can hit this early with a 5-drop and you're the first one to do so, it's very likely that you're going to whittle away the board and keep this vampire under your control. Although there are a number of other vampires that are going to make their way into the cube, it may not be enough to save everyone from the board. So we can think of Anawan as a fantastic global removal spell. All right, next, remembering when we were talking about Angel of Invention and the premium being placed on trying to create as many creatures as possible when we cast these creatures, when we summon the creatures from the cube, in comes creature number 12, Ant Queen, a 5/5, no other abilities, except for every 1 and a green you tap, you create a 1/1 green insect creature token. MTG BC, make sure your land deck is filled with those forests, because if you can get the Ant Queen in play and you've got green on your side, you can start amassing an insect army that at some point in time is just going to overwhelm the board and carry you to victory. All right, creature number 13, lucky number 13, CMC 5, Anya, Merciless Angel. All right, here we have a 4/4 Angel. She gets +3/+3 for each opponent whose life total is less than half of their starting life total. So if we have any opponents that have 11 lesser life, if they have 11 life or less, then we're going to get +3/+3, and that's for each opponent. So if we're sitting down to a Momir Vig game of 4 players, and 2 of our opponents have less than 12 life, Anya's a 10/10. And that is pretty darn good for the investment of just 5 mana. And lastly, as long as an opponent's life total is less than half of their starting life total, Anya is also indestructible. So even if one opponent has less than 12 life, Anya's 7/7 flying with indestructible. That is ridiculous value. 24 life is not a lot of life, particularly in a format where the only way to win is going to be through combat. So Anya, Merciless Angel, and anyone who's fortunate enough to conjure her to the battlefield, you may have a win condition built in and no way in which to stop it. All right, next creature up, we have the Arbor Colossus, a 6/6 with reach and the monstrosity mechanic. And again, MTG BC, make sure you got forests in that land deck, because to activate the monstrosity mechanic, you need 3 and 3 green. And when you do, you put 3 +1/+1 counters on this creature. When Arbor Colossus becomes monstrous, destroy target creature with flying an opponent controls. So if the battlefield is not ripe with any flyers that are worth investing 6 mana to destroy, then we just hold back with a 6/6 reach just for 5 mana. However, if at any point in time there starts to be some threatening winged beasties out there, well, we're going to invest 3 and 3 green, we're going to destroy that creature and make the Arbor Colossus that much Colossuser. Owning it. We are owning that. Colossuser. All right. Moving to the 3/4 mark of this video, we have creature number 15, and one of my all-time favorites, we have Archangel Avacyn. She's a 4/4 with flash, which does not matter for the purposes of this game variant. She's 4/4 flying vigilance, and when she ETBs, creatures you control gain indestructible until end of turn. Knowing that your entire squad has indestructibility may be enough motivation to send every one of them into combat. Whenever a non-angel creature we control dies, we transform Archangel Avacyn at the beginning of the next upkeep. And when we do, she becomes Avacyn the Purifier, a 6/5 flying angel that when she transforms into Avacyn the Purifier, it deals 3 damage to each other creature and each opponent. This may be as close to a board wipe as we're going to get in our Momir Vig Cube. And just for the purposes of clarity, being able to deal 3 damage to everything but Avacyn and have a 6/5 flyer for the, just for the cost of jumping a couple of hoops for the overall investment of 5 mana makes Archangel Avacyn one of the premier 5-drops in this cube. All right, 5 creatures left. Next up, number 16, we have the Archfiend of Depravity, 5/4 flying. At the beginning of each opponent's end step, that player chooses up to 2 creatures they control and then sacrifices the rest. Notice that this does not affect our board. It's just at the beginning of each opponent's end step. Yay for us, and also not yay for our opponents. All right, next creature up, we have the Archon of Justice, a 4/4 flyer that when it dies, we exile target permanent. Very simple. You want to swing in with a big old creature? All right, we'll block with our Archon of Justice and then exile one of your permanents. All right, we're down to 3 more creatures in this installment. Next, we have the Atarka Pummeler, a 4/5 Ogre Warrior with the undervalued formidable mechanic. So here we're going to tap 3 and 2 red. MTG BC, make sure you got red in the land deck. Each creature we control cannot be blocked except by 2 or more creatures this turn. This effectively means creatures you control have menace until end of turn. We can only activate the formidable mechanic if we have total power 8 or greater of creatures we control. That should not be a problem in a variant that emphasizes casting creatures. And we're down to our last 2. Creature number 19 of this installment is the Avenging Huntbonder, a 3/3 double striker that when it attacks, we put a double strike counter on another target attacking creature. Double strike is going to be one of the most powerful mechanics in this cube, because it could be a game-ending synergy if we were able to link it with some of the creatures that may have landwalk abilities, protection, or other types of evasion. All right, creature number 20, MTG BC. Here we go. It is a Azami Lady of Scrolls, an 0/2 that reads, tap an untapped wizard you control, draw a card. So minimally, we're going to invest 5 mana in order to tap Azami to draw a card whenever we want to. If we have no other wizards, then we have no other wizards. But still, we're going to put into our hand at least once during a round of turns the tax needed to summon a creature from the Momir Vig Cube. Azami Lady of Scrolls is creature number 20 with a CMC of 5. And there we have it, MTG BC. We are 5 installments in. We got our first 100 cards into our Momir Vig Cube. 100 down, 1,400 to go. This is MTG Burgeoning, your channel for all things magic.